Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Baron. This is your Brain on Books, and today we're going to talk about Blackwater by Michael McDowell, a truly epic novel, huge novel. It's actually 6 smaller volumes that are put together. That is a multi-generational family saga set in a small town in rural Alabama. Now, I want to go into this book a little bit and why I love it so much, because this has quickly become one of my all-time favorites, and hopefully convince you to pick it up. Now, if you're not familiar with Michael McDowell, before his short life ended, he was a paperback writer, primarily horror fiction, but a lot of his notoriety came from the screenplays that he's actually produced, which was Beetlejuice, Nightmare Before Christmas, and if you're familiar with those movies, which I assume you are, very popular stuff, you'll understand the kind of dark, whimsical atmosphere that you're going to get within Blackwater, and atmosphere is a big part of this story and what makes it so great. But before we get into all those things, let's just talk briefly on what this is about. Now, I mentioned it's a multi-generational story, and it follows a family called the Caskies, and this is set over like 60-70 year period in this small town of Alabama. Now, it kicks off with a flood in this town, and young Oscar Caskey is out on a boat. He's looking for people to rescue, and he finds a woman in the Osceola Hotel named Eleanor. Now, she's been there for days, unwet, sitting on the edge of a bed, waiting for somebody to rescue her. And he does, and they quickly fall in love, and they quickly are wed, and chaos ensues from there. What you end up with is an almost plotless novel to some degree. However, there's some kind of horrific and magical realism threads that are tied to both Eleanor and the Perdido River that just are sprinkled throughout all 6 volumes that are just so captivating. But the fact that it's somewhat plotless doesn't really matter. What you get to see with this dysfunctional but affluent family is all their internal struggles and drama, not just within their own interpersonal lives, but also what's going on in the town, what's going on in the United States. You get to go through the Great Depression, you go through World War II, you get to go through all the social rights movements in the 1960s. You see it all and how this affects this family, the Caskies, and then also how their actual power within the town gets to affect those outcomes of those big events. It's really interesting. So quickly, if I can just go into what makes this story so good, or this book rather, one is the writing. McDowell's writing is fantastic, and it's told through kind of a unique perspective. This is third person omniscient. The only book I've read that's kind of reads similar to Blackwater is actually Dune, which is sitting right behind me. Kind of an odd comparison, but Herbert and McDowell's writings kind of overlap quite a bit in my eyes. The only exception really is McDowell's sense of atmosphere and his sense of dread, and the way he gets to set a scene. You can feel the swamp, you can feel the murk of the water. He's just so good at the way that he describes the settings, and is absolutely phenomenal. And another thing that he just does as good, if not better, than most writers I have ever experienced is character work. These characters over these 6 volumes are so fleshed out that I know everything about them. You get to see them from small children until they die. And everything from their struggles to their first love to birthdays and everything in between, taking jobs, going to university, you see it all, and you just don't get that level of intimacy and exposure to characters like you do in Blackwater. Another book that's kind of similar, not as far as the timeline goes, but if you've read Lonesome Dove, which it's a book I'm a big fan of, that's another book where the characters are just so well realized, and Blackwater is very similar in that regard. So I have been absolutely blown away by this, and I'm so eager to pick up more Michael McDowell. I'm going to be reading Cold Moon over Babylon very soon. But I highly encourage you to pick this book up. Give it a try. One thing, it is in 6 small volumes, so you can read them as independent books in between other large tomes. It's just nice little palate cleansers, and you get to follow the Caskey family, and I guarantee you will fall in love with them. Till next time. See ya.